Over the years, our family's had a share of health problems.
So prescriptions are a part of our life.
Before we went to the big box store.
We both thought it would help us save. But with the long lines and impersonal service, filling prescriptions became a chore. That's when a friend recommended D&H.
Now Tristan knows our prescriptions. Brenda always helps us find the right vitamins. And after Dad's fall, Monica's been a real expert with all our home medical needs. All without the lines.
Trust and service.
That's our D&H.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Wednesday, June the 29th, and I want to introduce you to a young lady making her first appearance with us today. This is Dr. Stephanie Reid-Arndt. Welcome to Radio Friends.
Thank you.
And you are with the School of Health Profession, actually Department of Health Psychology at MU.
Right.
And your specialty is brain injuries.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How many people in this country have brain injuries? That's my first question. And can you have a brain injury and not know it? The second one.
Right. Well, so we think probably about 5.3 million Americans are living with brain injury.
And how many of those people are living with brain injuries that don't know it?
You know, I think that there are, it can depend. I don't know the numbers for that. I think most of the time people have a sense that they have sustained a brain injury. If they don't know immediately, either they or people that they interact with start to notice changes in their functioning.
So it's not something that could happen immediately. It could happen immediately, or if you have a brain injury, it could show up sometime later?
Probably the best example to think about would be in athletes. And so an athlete can have a mild brain injury or concussion, not necessarily notice any significant changes right away, and then maybe have multiple concussions over time, and then eventually recognize that they are experiencing some difficulties.
Can you tell, by talking to a person or meeting a person, that something is not right even if they don't know it?
Sometimes you can. You know, brain injuries, I think, are challenging because a lot of the patients that we work with, on casual conversation, they look very typical. You may not know if you just pass someone in the street or have a brief conversation with someone that they're having problems related to a brain injury. Mm-hmm. But if you spend a little bit more time talking to them, then you can notice some subtle problems.
Like, give me an example.
Right. So one of the main problems people have are difficulties remembering things. And so that can be frustrating for people who interact with someone with a brain injury. So you and I might have a conversation, and then the next day I'll refer back to that, and the person with the brain injury may not remember we ever talked about that. And so the changes can be mild, can seem relatively subtle, but they can really have a pretty big impact.
You have a website. It's online now.
That's
correct?
right. Mm-hmm.
The website is designed mainly for professionals, but anybody can access it and get some information from it.
That's right. That's right. In fact, we hope we hope a lot of people will take a look at this website, both people who have had brain injuries, their family members, and also people who are working with people with brain injury.
Okay, give the address of the website.
Mm-hmm. It's braininjuryeducation.org.
www.
You don't need the
W's.
No
www. Mm-hmm. Just braininjuryeducation.org.
That's right.
What are they going to find when they go to that website?
So the website is organized into several sections, and so one of the sections has information about brain injuries themselves. How does someone sustain a brain injury? What are some common symptoms after brain injury?
Okay, give me, what are some common symptoms? Besides not being able to remember a conversation from yesterday, which I have that problem sometimes too.
Sure. A lot of times people with a brain injury may have changes in their behaviors or their interpersonal style. So family members will tell us that someone seems less motivated. Maybe they have a harder time, kind of getting up off the couch and doing those things that they need to do. So decreased motivation can be a change. Also, another behavioral change, sometimes people have problems just managing their emotions. And so particularly in the early periods after a brain injury, someone may be more easily frustrated. They may be more likely to get angry, lose their temper with their family members or in school settings if it's a child. So those are some of the other pretty significant changes that can happen.
And you will find information on all of this on the website. So
That's right.
how are brain injuries treated?
That's a great question, and actually we have a section on that as well. And the section essentially will take the reader through the continuum of care that someone with a brain injury can go through. So, for example, here at the university, if someone sustains a brain injury, they're going to end up in the acute hospital, so at MU Hospital. They get services there.
But wait, you could have a brain injury and it not be severe enough that you have to go into the hospital, right?
You're right.
Okay.
Absolutely true.
Can you have a brain injury and it just takes care of itself?
Certainly. In fact, a lot of people do. Milder brain injuries or concussions, a lot of time the doctors will just say, let's monitor your functioning. Let's make sure some of those early symptoms that you can have with a concussion, like nausea or dizziness, headaches, let's make sure that those go away in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So if you are hospitalized, then what happens?
Right, that's right. So this would be for the more moderate to severe brain injuries, not just the knock on the head, but the more significant head injury. After people are medically stabilized in the hospital, then they can have rehabilitation therapies, treatments afterwards. Some people will go into an acute rehab hospital, and some people will get these therapies as an outpatient. But the types of therapies are the same across both settings. So for example, people can have physical therapy. If they're having difficulties with their physical functioning, for example, with a severe head injury, people might have problems walking.
Is that almost like having a stroke then?
A stroke is a different kind of injury to the brain.
But it could be some of the same symptoms.
Exactly.
All
That's
right.
correct.
The website again is?
braininjuryeducation.org.
Before we go, one thing I've always been confused about. Explain what a concussion is.
Right.
A concussion is a knock on the head, right? Is that where your brain starts to swell?
No, if your brain is swelling, then that would suggest it's a more severe injury to the head.
So what is a concussion?
Right. A concussion usually is a description of what happens if someone gets a knock to the head and then they experience some symptoms after that. You know, as I mentioned, nausea, dizziness. Sometimes people have very brief loss of awareness. So they may be talking to you, but they may be just their experience may be a little bit different. Anyways, a concussion, usually those symptoms don't last very long.
Okay.
If you were to do a scan of their brain, you wouldn't see changes in their brain.
All right. So that's what a concussion is.
Yes.
Kind of like shaking the brain.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Stephanie Reid-Arndt. Good having you here. Tomorrow, Maplewood Barn Theater fundraiser coming up, and also Missouri River Relief. Our show directed by Travis McMillen of the Reynolds Journalism Institute, audio Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Andrew Orozco, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. And to watch this program again or listen to it, go to kbia.org, click on Radio Friends. Bye-bye.